Hey, Walden Jaguars, it's Ms. Holt in the Media Center, and today I want to share some information with you guys about an event that's happening. It is National Banned Books Week, and this is a week that is sponsored by the American Library Association, and they have this week because they want to draw attention to the fact that sometimes people try to have books removed from public libraries or school libraries. This is something we don't always agree with, and the reason that people challenge a book is actually there's a lot of reasons that they challenge a book, but it's something in the book that they don't agree with. So maybe it has some language that they don't think is appropriate for a specific grade level. Maybe they think it goes against their religious views or their political views. And so they will challenge a book and ask to have it be removed from that library. So I want to share a few books with you today that have been challenged in different libraries across our country. Some of these you guys are going to recognize. So this is one that I find really surprising. It's A Light in the Attic by Shel Silverstein. And he's written a lot of different books. His books are collections of poetry. And they're funny. They're like kid funny humor poetry. And the reason this book has been challenged is because there's a poem in there about a man who eats cities. So he'll go to Chicago and he eats the entire city, or he eats the entire city of New York. And people complain about this book saying that it promoted violence, when really it's just supposed to be really funny, really kind of a humorous story. This book and this one are both very similar. They were challenged for similar reasons. And when challenges were made for these books, they were saying that they're too scary for kids in the particular school buildings. So these might be stories that you actually had access to in elementary school, and some people might believe that they are too scary for elementary children. Harry Potter is one of the most challenged books that has been around for the last 15 or 20 years. And this book has been challenged numerous times for witchcraft. So sometimes people have thought in the past that this would encourage kids to practice spells. Hunger Games. This one has been challenged quite a few times, specifically just for violence. And I think this book got a lot of publicity because it was very popular, and then the movies came out and they were really popular. And there were just some people out there who didn't think this was appropriate reading for middle school or high school students. Bridge to Terabithia. This is actually one of my all-time favorite books. I read this book when I was a kid, remains one of my favorite books today. And it had been challenged in the past for some inappropriate language, which is actually very, very minimal. So I think there's maybe one or two, maybe slightly bad words in this book, but it was challenged for that reason. A Wrinkle in Time for the same thing. There may be one or two kind of inappropriate words in here. This one has also been challenged for religious purposes. So some people believe it goes against their religious beliefs, and it has been challenged in different schools. And a couple other books that I want to mention that I don't have in our library, but you guys probably had in your elementary school, Junie B. Jones and Captain Underpants. Both of those books have been challenged for teaching kids inappropriate behavior. So maybe it teaches kids to not follow directions or to speak back to their teachers or their parents. So those are a couple examples of books that have been challenged for that. Charlotte's Web is another one we don't have a copy of, but it's been challenged for using talking animals, which people say is unnatural. But a lot of our fantasy books are fantasy just because of that, because they're unrealistic, things that don't actually happen in real life. So those are just a few books. And as you guys can see, we would be missing out on a lot of really awesome books in our library if these were ever to be removed. So maybe you check out a book sometime, and if you don't like it, that's fine. You can bring it back. That doesn't mean that other people wouldn't enjoy that book. And that's why we have this week of awareness to make sure that everybody has books available in the library that they want to read. Okay, so once again, happy Banned Books Week. And come see our display in the library if you'd like to check out any of these books this week.